So welcome to lesson 13. I'm going to call this 13A. So before we can do advanced factoring, which is 13B, we're going to do some basic factoring, okay? So this is hopefully a review, but if you don't remember this or you were never taught it, this is just a way to help you get some access to this. So first thing, you might remember this from middle school, greatest common factor. So if I'm looking for the greatest common factor between 10 and 40, let's just say, what we're looking for is the biggest number that is common in both. Let's talk about what a factor is, right? So factors are numbers that multiply to give you 10. So 1 times 10 gives you 10, 2 times 5 gives you 10, 3 doesn't go into 10, 4 doesn't go into 10, so we're done when we get back to this number right here. And you can check it by doing like either our umbrella method or rainbow method to see if each has a pair. The only time it might not is if there's the same number that multiplies by itself to give you that number, okay? So multiples of 40, 1, let's just go in order. 1 times 40 is 40. 2 times 20 is 40. 3 doesn't go into 40. 4 times 10 gives you 40. What else? Pop, pop, pop. 5 times 8 gives you 40. 6 doesn't go, 7 doesn't go, and then we're back at 8. Okay, so again, we're making our umbrellas, right? 4 times 10, yep, and 5 times 8. Okay, so each of them have a pair. So now what we're doing is we're looking for the greatest number that goes into both. Let's choose like a little brown here. So 10 goes into both, right? It's our biggest number here. I know 40 is not here, 20 is not here, but 10 is here and it's also here. So our greatest common factor between 10 and 40 is 10, okay? There is a way for the calculator to do this for you in case you're not good at your times tables or you forgot, or if you have like a very big number, no big deal, right? So let's just say 24 and 36 might take us a very long time to do. So you hit math. Over here is num, so you go over to the right. And then option number 9 is something called GCD. And then you just put in your two numbers. So between 24 and 36, you can close the parentheses if you'd like, and then just hit enter, and it gives you that the greatest common factor is 12. So again, this is GCD, okay? All right. So factoring trinomials. So trinomial just means you have three terms. 1, 2, 3. You cannot combine these. So we're just factoring here. We're not solving. We're not looking for x. We're just breaking it down into smaller parts. Okay. So the yeah, you can think of this as reverse box method. So if I have x squared and a 3x here, I have to figure out what goes in the top. So to get x squared, I know that x times x is x squared, so that's what gives me x squared, okay? So I have x times something that gives me 3x, that number is going to be 3, because 3 times x is equal to 3x, okay? This is just a line dividing. That's a horrible line, but you get the point. Over here, x times something gives you 5x, so that number is 5, and let's check it. 5 times 3 gives me 15. So my two double bubbles are going to be x plus 3 and x plus 5. And those are my factors. Done. Okay. Here's another way of we're doing the same exact problem. If box method doesn't work for you, we'll call this the add multiply example. So on your worksheet, on the slides, I put in a big X. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 15 and two numbers that add to be this B term, which is 8. So add to be 8, multiply to be 15. This is called the AM method, and the way I remember it is when we read from left to right, and A comes before M in the alphabet, okay? So two numbers that multiply to be 15 and also add to be 8. They have to be, yeah, the same set of numbers. So 1 times 15 gives you 15, but 1 plus 15 does not give me 8. So that doesn't work. So I know that my other option has to be 3 and 5, and 3 times 5 gives me 15, check, and 3 plus 5 gives me 8, check. All right. So here I could just go ahead and like check that, right? 1 times 15 equals 15, and 3 times 5 equals 15. and then I have to add them together. 1 plus 15 gives me 16. That's not what I want. 3 plus 5 gives me 8. That is what I want. So what do I do with those two things? I have x plus 3 and x plus 5. And you could take it directly from this right here, right? You just take these and put them down into the bubble. X times x gives me x squared, so that's what always has to go first. Okay. All right. Cooking with gas. So we want to do some checks for understanding. All right. So there's two of them there. So try those yourself. And then this is some independent. This is now combining. So I'm going to just do this one right here for you. 3x squared plus 6x minus 9. So we'll start off pretty basic. Okay. So we have 3x squared plus 6x minus 9. So you might look at this and be like, what? We didn't do something like this. And you're right. But what is the greatest common factor between 3, 6, and 9? So we can have our calculator help us with that if you were not sure, right? Go up here, hit enter. I'm kind of cheating a little bit. So 3, let's get rid of this. The other one was 6, comma, and the last one is negative 9. Um, and oh, it says argument. We want to check the type of number, so hit this. And what did that just teach me? Don't put the negative with it. Okay. So at 9, hit enter. Oh, that's not, it's not because it's negative 9. It's because there's 3 of them in there. So I just learned something along with you. So let's just do the greatest common denominator between 3 and 6 is 3. And then you can test it between 3 and 9, right? So greatest common denominator between 3 and 9 is also 3, which completely makes sense. So what we just learned right now is 3 goes into all of these. Is there an x that's common? No, there's not. So we're just going to factor out a 3. Okay. And so if we divide this by 3, they cancel out. So you're left with x squared. If we divide this by 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's 2x. And 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. Okay, and there's a minus sign here, so I just brought that down. So now I'm going to do what we just did above, okay, and the checks for understanding. So we're looking for two numbers that, and now you can ignore this 3, okay? That's going to be coming down with our answer, and we're still going to have some sort of double bubble here. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us negative 3, and that also add to give us 2, okay? So factors of 3 are 1 and 3. So I know those are my numbers. Now I have to add them to be a positive 2. So since it has to multiply to give me a negative, one has to be a positive, the other one has to be a negative. Okay. So now let's check it. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So we have our answers, and they are right here, right? So we go x minus 1 and x plus 3. All right. So that is our answer, which is the same thing as this, except they switch the order. Doesn't matter. So these are three problems that I want you to go ahead and do. All right. Best wishes. Hope this makes sense.